This video is just to do a quick review of the menu bar so you have an approximation of where most things are. And as I teach you how to do new things, you'll be going over them again in more detail. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview. Okay, this is the menu bar right here up at the top. These are different ways of getting to things in the menu bar that are repetitive, and then this is called the toolbar because it actually gives you the options to whatever it is that you're doing at the time. Okay, File. You have New, and you can open up a new one of any one of the OpenOffice types of documents. Open is for something that you have already done that you need to browse to, for instance, something like that. And then I'm going to go File, New, Text Document again for that. And then I'm going to close that. So we have a blank one again. Now you'll notice that there is a Control-O for Open. Same with Save As, Save, Print, and Exit. Those are called keyboard shortcuts. And we have gone over a lot of them that are in the Edit section. And for printing, there's 3 ways to print. You have the actual file print, Control-P, or the little print icon here. So that's 3 ways to do the same thing. File print, Control-P, icon. You can open up templates if you've already saved them. You can do page previews, so if you have typed quite a bit and you want to see how it's going to print out in more of a final fashion, you can do that. You can change your printer settings, and of course you can exit. And we have gone over the save and the save all in a different video already. Okay, Edit. This is the Control-C, Control-V, Control-X, Control-Z. Whether you have changes to something. Compare Document, I haven't used that a lot, and so I'm not really familiar with it, and hopefully I'll be teaching you something that you need that with, but I haven't come across one yet. Find and Replace. I have used that a lot. Say you have a table with all your students in it. Or if you're a student, say you have a table with all the assignments you've done. If you want to find a particular one without having to scroll through the whole thing, you can do a Control-F, which is Find. Now, in OpenOffice, the Find and Replace are in the same spot. But you don't have to do the Replace with. Where Find and Replace comes in handy is, say you had to do a term paper on Nietzsche. That's not always an easy word to spell. So if you think you misspelled it, you can do a search for what you believe to be the incorrect spelling or the correct one, and then do a replace with the correct, and that way you know that they're all consistent. And of course, we'd hope they would be consistently correct. But as far as Find, if you have a lot of pages and you want to find a particular word or section, this is a good way to do it. Auto text has more to do with databases and things like that, so we're not going to really get into it. And if we ever do the advanced work for database, we will go into that then. View, how you're going to look at things, or what you want to view. Print layout is what you're looking at here. A web layout takes it more into a web page looking document where you would just have plain HTML. So I'm going to go back to print layout. Whether you want to view the rulers or not, I always like viewing the rulers so I know where I am and what my tabs are doing and all that. Text boundaries means your margins is another word for that. Field shadings and field names, again, that has to do with setting fields to be communicating with the database, and that's for another time. Non-printing characters, that is a biggie. Lots of people accidentally hit something where non-printing characters will come up, and so I'll just do some basic gibberish, and then view non-printing characters. So if you ever see these, do not panic. Just go to View, turn off the non-printing characters, and they go away. And if you forget how to do that, just so you know, they do not print when you print, so you don't really even have to worry about them. So it's actually nice sometimes to know that you're doing that. So there's an enter. Say you're doing coding and you do an enter. If you do a shift enter, you notice that it gives that arrow as a single spacing instead of a paragraph. And when you're coding HTML, that actually counts. So just a little tidbit of information. Data sources, again, has to do with databases. Navigator lets you put in different graphics, things like that. Whether you have a content view, you can go to the next page if you have one. It's a way to work your way around a very large document. Full screen, I'm not going to do that on here because it goes past what I show anyway, but that's if you want it to fill your whole monitor. Zoom. Lots of people like to look at the whole thing. Some people, like me, like it to be able to read it. And that's basically the view. Insert. This is if you want anything extra in it. Sound, pictures, frames, headers, footers, bookmarks, anchors, hyperlinks, anything like that. Now, special characters. A lot of people ask me about these because, say if someone has a Spanish name and they want a certain character over a letter, this is where you go. So there you have. So if you wanted it over the S like that without having to go through a lot of pain to do it, that's a nice, easy way. So insert special character. Objects, more media. So they have the movie and sound, and then they have extra objects too. So it would just depend on how you want to do it and what kind of video you have, and we would do that later. Charts come in very handy if you have a table with data, and you can, just like in Excel, you can tell it that data to go to a chart. Formatting. This is where you tell everything how you want it to look. An anchor, again with a large document, this can be nice if you have an index page. Instead of people having to scroll through a whole document, they can click on the index name and go to that section instead of having to look for it. Cases is whether it's uppercase, lowercase, and in case, I guess, you had the caps lock on and you were typing, you can toggle it afterwards to fix it instead of having to go through and change all of it. Bullets and numbering, that's a whole nother section that we will get to. Character is everything about the font itself. Effects, position, and we'll be going through this in more detail later. Hyperlinks and background. Tables. Many different ways to put in tables. You can insert from here and tell it exactly how many you want. And I'm going to, speaking of you, I'm going to turn that off because that's annoying me already. And then you can put tables in tables. So that's one way of putting in a table. The second way is just by highlighting this. Another way is coming over here, doing the same thing. And then if you want to delete tables, rows, and columns, split cells, protect them. Protect them means that once there's data in there, you cannot change it. So if you have people filling out forms, that would be the way to go. And then formulas, like Excel, it'll do simple math, and if you're really good at it, it'll do lots of things. Okay, and then table properties, you can tell it how you want the text to flow, where you want your columns, whether it has a border, things like that. So if you wanted a thicker border, you could do it there. Tools. Spelling and grammar. When you hit F7, with all that right there, it's going to find a lot. As you see, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to close it. So that's just a quick spell check, and this is on automatic, and so if you want to customize it, you can customize your menus, your keybar, toolbars, everything. Autocorrect options. I always recommend that people leave this alone, because if you don't have this on, then lots of people will forget to do the spell check at the end, and then you'll have a lot of errors. Now, OpenOffice has this strange thing with enable word completion. If you are doing a paper with lots of words that are foreign to you, it can come in handy, but otherwise it's usually kind of a pain, and so I turn it off, and that way whatever I type, it just puts it in there, instead of always trying to second guess me and tell me what it is that I should be thinking. Gallery is kind of a cool little place where you can give things backgrounds, do themes for papers, a home page buttons if you're doing HTML. You can put in sounds. Oh boy. Macros, I don't use those a lot because of the type of work I do, but if I were a business major, I'd be doing them a lot. So hopefully I will give you a video on that later if we do anything more advanced, but for now, we're going to skip that. Okay, window. You can have new windows, you can close windows, and to close the media, of course, you just go with Tools, close the gallery so you can get everything back. New window. Now, when you do a new window, notice you have Untitled 1 and Untitled 1 of 2. So you need to know that it copies whatever you are doing. And if you're doing a lot of pages with the same type of information, but you don't have a template yet, that might be one way to go. And then I'm going to go Window, close Window. I'm not going to close this one. And then Help. F1. If you just hit F1, it brings up the Help function. You can look at what version here of OpenOffice that you have. You can set this at home to update automatically. We don't here at school because of the fact that we don't want 300 computers all trying to update at the same time. And if we need to do work like that, we can turn them on through a remote access and get it done. But if you do have a question, you can always go to the Help. And unlike a lot of other programs that are more what you might call detailed oriented, 90% of the time I actually find that Help is helpful. I cannot say that with every piece of software I've ever worked with. And then you can say File, either Save or Save As, and then you need to make the decision of what type of file I want. In this case, because I have the tables, I would not choose rich text format. I would either choose the Microsoft Word 97 2000 XP or the open text document if it's the only software I have. And I'm going to choose that. And menus. And it automatically saves it to documents. If you want to go somewhere else, you would have to browse and go to it to save it. So I'm just going to save it right to Libraries Documents. And that is a quick overview of the menu bar. Thank you.